earthing, grounding. Have you ever heard of that before? Well, look, today we're going to dive into this subject because if you're like me, things start to hurt as you get older. And I haven't been able to work out because my knees are inflamed and bothering me. So here's the thing. Today we're going to dive into something and see how it impacts things like mood, energy, and wellness. So stay with us.
Please welcome Gwyneth Paltrow. There are a couple of things, and I've written them down here. For instance, tell us about earthing. What is earthing?
In simple terms, grounding is literally putting your bare feet on the ground. When you do that, you're in contact with the earth, and Mother Earth is endowed with electrons. And these electrons are literally absorbed through your feet. It's like taking handfuls of antioxidants, but you're getting it through the feet.
You know, I saw the most interesting article today, and it was showing they had a camera that showed how the Earth actually has a heartbeat, and it shows how the electromagnetic fields move throughout the Earth at any given moment.
Whoa.
Welcome to High Strangeness, where we ask questions and explore all that is strange and unexpected in our reality.
Welcome to High Strangeness. I'm Tony, and this is a place where we talk about all things strange and unexpected in our reality. But today's topic is going to be a little strange and more unexpected. But before we get into all that, I want to welcome my guest and co-host today, which is Maili, back from episode 46 from last year. And she had, at that time, shared a spooky and paranormal experience. And if you want to learn or remember that episode, go back to 46. But with all that, I just want to say, hey, we're going to jump into this. And Maili, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm ready to talk about this different topic, it's funny, I didn't know a whole lot about it, but when I got exposed to it a short while back, I'm hearing it everywhere. Isn't that how things work sometimes? Crazy.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a red car.
Yeah,
you think
exactly.
about a red car and then you see all the red cars.
You see them everywhere. I know, it's crazy. Now, before we do all that, I know that you just had a house built and you're moved in. How's everything going there? Are you guys really getting settled in? And how are your two pups doing?
Yeah, everything's slowly but surely getting set in. Yeah, I've had a couple paint mishaps already as it is. So I'll need to get that taken care of.
Well, what do you mean? Did you missed some marks or something, or what happened?
Yeah, we decided to start a project and do wall molding, and I didn't. They left us paint, but I don't think I used the whatever right kind of paint they left us for the walls because it looks like there's one kind of white here and then another kind of white here, and then it's all just all messed up. And so I just look at it and I'm like, oh, well, I'll worry about it later.
Well, it's crazy too, because white is one of those things where you're is the lighting off? Why am I seeing it different? It's kind of a weird thing with that color because sometimes you're not quite sure if it's you or just you're seeing it wrong that day,
I know. I don't know how many different shades of white you can get, but here we are.
Well, let's see here. I know that your husband has been working on the lawn, and is that done? Did you guys get all that done so far?
No, we have our front yard is done, but our backyard, we have we're hoping by the end of July. At this point, we're just crossing our fingers and hoping that we can have grass and everything in there by then. We have our fence up, so that's at least going, and then sprinklers and everything will hopefully follow soon.
Yeah. Well, at least it's the beginning of the summer, right? All summer to get that figured out and stuff. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once you have your grass up, it's going to fit perfectly into our topic today as we get into some things. Because the grass is the key to some things, apparently, based on this subject that we're going to be talking about today. There are a lot of challenges of the flesh, right? There's problems and issues and things that we know and don't know that can go wrong with the body. And sometimes there's a real simple fix, maybe, based on this topic that we're going to go into, So I'm pretty excited to discuss it today. So what is it? What are we talking about today? Earthing and grounding, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. What did you hear about this before we decided to talk about it?
Yeah, I actually heard about this like several years ago, back when I was in high school, as kind of a therapeutic way to kind of help with my mental health in a way. So that I was exposed to it back then. And so sometimes I forget it exists. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, yeah, earthing. Let's do
Yeah.
that.
Well, it is kind of funny because just recently I started trying it a little, and I think it's kind of working. I don't know. It's my knees aren't hurting as much, and it's just interesting. So,
Please welcome Gwyneth Paltrow. There are a couple of things, and I've written them down here. For instance, tell us about earthing. What is earthing?
Oh, okay. It's kind of, they say that we've lost touch with sort of being barefoot in the earth, and that there's some type of electromagnetic thing that we're missing.
That
And
is
so
true.
it's good to take your shoes off and walk in the grass.
Okay.
I don't know what.
I do think that there is definitely a science to it, and it's been proven that it does work. Even if that wasn't the case, at least you can know that, like, hey, well, at least it's like placebo a little bit, and I
Yeah.
still feel better, so I'm okay.
right. Yeah, that works. As long as you can feel better, I think that's the key.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this question. Have you ever had to deal with periods of stress, low energy, trouble sleeping, or even like I'm having every now and then, joint inflammation? Anything like that?
I do, yeah. I get really bad trouble sleeping, and I get actually joint inflammation in my hands and my fingers, so that kind of bothers me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think it's from typing and stuff like that, or what have you self-diagnosed it to be?
I think partially I've always noticed in like one of my hands that I always have a little bit of stiffness in my joints that comes out when I do things like cleaning or anything. But for the past 5 years, I have had a desk job where I rigorously type on my computer. So I know that has contributed a lot to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how have you dealt with it up to this point? Did you do anything, or have you had any special remedies, or have you just been going, I'll work through it?
I kind of just push through it. And then every now and then when I remember that earthing is a thing, I'll be like, oh yeah, I should go sit out, put my hands in the grass and just touch the earth for a little bit. But
Yeah.
sometimes I forget.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, even when I learned about it, I did it for a few days, and then it was weeks before I did it again. And I was like, what am I doing? I said I was going to try this a little more often, and then I forgot. So I don't know.
I think it's so easy with the simple things like that to just like forget. It's something so simple you can do for yourself, but it's almost so simple that you just don't even think about it then.
Yeah, it's like you almost have to put a reminder to yourself to do it. It's kind of crazy. Okay, everybody out there. So that's what we're going to be talking about. A natural remedy, likely. And there's other ways to tie into this too. So like you can use your lawn, like Maili will be able to do later this summer. But at the same time, there are other ways to do it. If you're in a cold climate or it's snowing outside, what are you going to do? And we'll get into some of that. So, okay, everybody, if you haven't figured it out by now, it's earthing or grounding, right? Now, before we started to do this episode, at least for me anyway, I'd done a little bit of looking into it, and there's actually a pretty good film out there. We'll make reference to it as we go through that you can watch, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes long, and it'll give you a lot of information on this. So we're going to cover some things, but you can also get more information by watching that film later. It's on Amazon Prime, free. And there's some, it was kind of weird. I found the film a few places, and it had two different names. One of them was called Down to Earth, the Josh and Rebecca Tickle film. And the other one was called The Earthing Movie. So I don't really know why there were two different names. Maybe one spends a little more time with Josh and Rebecca. I'm not sure, but yeah. All right, well, let's start here. The film talks about Rebecca and Josh and their daughter. And I can't remember what the daughter's name is, but this couple's they're filmmakers, and they like to make films about the environment and environmental issues. And back in 2010, there was an oil spill in Louisiana, and they were filming this. It was called The Big Fix, and Rebecca got exposed to some toxic substances, and so she started having some issues. That's kind of where it started in that film. And I don't know if you remember, Maili, but did she really? I'm not sure how she determined that it was actually from that oil spill. Do you remember anything? Because I don't.
Yeah, I think she said that she had consulted a doctor about it and that they had determined that that's what that was from.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's crazy because the film kind of kicks into the part where she's now concerned, because I think they had said that she probably wouldn't be able to have a baby or anything, but she did get pregnant. And when she got pregnant, there was a concern about possible birth defects. And so, it's kind of a heart string pulling portion of that where they get you right in, where that she's now got an issue. She's got a concern and she's worried about it. And the film kind of starts off with her child, her daughter, being born, and then there was a lot of situations in and out of the hospital. Poor kid was chronically sick for like 2 years. And yeah, I mean, what did you think about that? What would you do if there was a situation? I know you don't have any kids yet, but when that happens, if you're thinking, oh no, what am I going to do? Like, this could happen, probably be pretty motivated to try to find some answers.
Oh yeah, and I think she even said in the film she was like, we researched every possible option under the sun. Nothing was too crazy for us. We just wanted our daughter to be healthy. And I would feel the same as any parent. It's just wanting to try anything that you could.
Yeah, because at that point you're like, oh no, what can we do? I mean, it is interesting because, and most of the listeners out there will know that when you go to a doctor, I'm not saying doctors don't do a good job, but there's an approach to try to determine what's going on with somebody, and it feels like it's a shotgun approach, right? They do a bunch of tests, and then they narrow it down, and they do it again, and they narrow it down. And a lot of times they're not quite sure what it is. So I think that's probably where they were at that point. They recognize that this could be a problem, but how do you fix it, right? So that's kind of sad and scary for a young couple and their baby.
Absolutely.
She mentioned the virtual dolphin therapy. There were all kinds of crazy things that they looked into, like a snake massage therapy. And
yes, yeah, she was, the one that stuck out to me the most about that was the dolphin swimming therapy.
Yeah.
But I've heard of all
sounds
kinds
like
of things
fun.
about that, like they have the goat yoga therapy, or like therapy with horses, and you get to go and hang out with horses as therapy, or cows even, and hug cows to like help your mental health. Or it's so fascinating.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd love to try those.
yeah.
Those are on my list.
I think there was one that she mentioned called the urine drinking therapy. And that's the one I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't do that one.
Yeah, I can't believe that a dolphin stuck out to me more than that.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That was an interesting one.
In simple terms, drowning is literally putting your bare feet on the ground. When you do that, you're in contact with the Earth, and Mother Earth is endowed with electrons. And these electrons are literally absorbed through your feet. It's like taking handfuls of antioxidants, but you're getting it through the feet.
Grounding means connecting to the earth to support the specific function of the organs of your body. It supports the body as a whole, but it specifically supports organ systems down to the tissues and the cellular function of the entire body.
But hey, everybody out there, this earthing thing, I mean, so she did run across some stuff, and she got a book, I guess, called Earthing, and she looked into it. And she was like, oh, wait, this can actually heal you. So she was really interested in finding out like what that would be. And so she looked into it. And then that led her to a main character that we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes, who kind of generated this whole concept of earthing and grounding. His name was Clint Ober. that was pretty neat. Like, he doesn't really have a medical background, right? But he's got, I think, if I remember correctly, his background was, as a young person, he worked in TV and cabling and stuff like that. And so, like, he helped repair and set up cable systems for TV, people's homes and businesses. So it's kind of interesting that would even, how would that bring him to the realization that this grounding thing was a thing? But I guess with cable TV, and we'll talk about it in just a minute, you kind of have to you have to ground things. Otherwise, the system doesn't work very well.
Clint had a background in the cable TV industry, and he knew that cables that come to your home with TV programs have to be grounded. If they're not, two things can happen. You get snow on the screen, the picture is terrible, and the other is you get a knock on the door from the Federal Communications Commission because the signal is disturbing aircraft communication. It leaks into the environment.
Just as ungrounded signals wreak havoc on radio communications, there's growing concern that because we are not grounded, we absorb tremendous amounts of electromagnetic radiation from our modern devices.
So, but one of the things, I want to go back to when he was younger, because he talks about that he was brought up among Native Americans. You remember that? Native Americans. And he was saying that the Native Americans believe that we don't own anything, and that land, nature, and everything else is just there for everybody, free, and that I guess a lot of times they didn't wear shoes. And that's kind of where he starts to piece some things together. Shoes.
Thinking historically, nobody used to wear shoes. Like cavemen and everything, like that wasn't started until, a little bit later in life. And even they had shoes, but they were cloth, so they were still in a way closer to the ground than our shoes now with like rubber.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, we'll get into it here a little bit, but yeah, Clint Ober thinks like the soles on these shoes are just trouble and has caused a lot of problems for people.
Was it that he said in the film that he was going into one of his friend's house in the Native American community, and his friend's mom said, "Oh, take those shoes off; they'll make you sick." And he just like, I didn't know what she was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how things happen and it reminds you of something you've heard in the past. So, yeah, he probably was like, "What are you talking about? It'll make you sick." Well, yeah.
Yeah. He definitely learned later on.
Yeah. So, shoes in general, like, some people love shoes, right? I think Zach's got more shoes than most people, doesn't he?
He's got more shoes than me.
Yeah, he's into shoes for sure. I don't have a lot of shoes, but I haven't been barefoot forever. Like, I'm always wearing shoes, sandals, something. So this was a weird thing for me. So somebody who's got a lot of shoes, what do you think?
Yeah, I think shoes are definitely an amazing way of self-expression and being able to put on, different combinations of outfits and, different colors and things like that. But I grew up in a household where we never wore shoes. Shoes inside the house, even going outside, it's like I wouldn't put shoes on if I'm just going outside really quick to go grab the mail or something. Unless it was cold and winter outside or something, you know. But yeah, how I grew up was that we just we didn't put shoes on unless we were getting in the car and going somewhere.
That's pretty cool, actually. So you guys were grounding all the time and didn't even know it, probably.
Yeah, we might have been, and maybe that's even why I have such flat feet, because I have really bad foot problems.
Yeah.
I never got arch support.
Yeah. Now, I know that Zach loves shoes. Does he always wear shoes, or does he go barefooted around the house and stuff?
He'll go barefoot around the house and stuff now, but I don't think that was obviously, because something that he used to do, because that's not how, yeah. So But I noticed when we first moved here, he would put shoes on when he started to go outside. But now I think that he's seen that I don't ever do that. And I think that, I don't know if he's seen me start to do it and not do it as much, or if he's just gotten lazy about his shoes either. But we do walk around barefoot outside a lot out here.
Well, now you can use this as a reason why he should continue to do that. Earthing.
Absolutely.
I wonder if he knows of it. Do you think he knows about this concept? Have you ever talked to him about it?
I don't think he does. No.
Yeah.
I try and tell him whenever we go to like the park or something, like with our dogs, to say, like, put your feet on the grass. Don't just put them on the blanket. Like, get your feet on the grass, get your hands on the grass, do those kinds of things, because it's good for you. But I guess I haven't really gotten more into that with him than that.
Oh. Yeah. Well, now you have a nice subject to talk to him about on this.
I do.
I'm curious. I want to know next time I talk with you, like, what his response is to that. Is he the type of guy I'd be like, oh, or would he be like, really? All right. I'm just kind of curious.
He'd probably be a little bit of a mix in between if he was like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, Clint Ober, he says synthetic rubber soles are the bane of our existence. He believes that it's the biggest reason for inflammation-related health disorders.
This was the single thing that happened that probably caused the proliferation of inflammation-related health disorders far and above anything else. This is the most destructive invention that man ever made, the synthetic sole shoe.
I don't know. I mean, I think I can't remember if I read it somewhere or in the film it talks about when people started wearing these types of shoes. And I think that they were able to see some kind of an increase in health issues after that. But I don't really remember completely. So
I wouldn't be surprised if that was true, honestly. I mean, because if you think about it, the whole idea is that it's, these electromagnetic currents that connect us to the earth and decrease our inflammation. And rubber is is not a conductor of electricity. Right. So it would definitely be a huge stop in any of that to your feet when you walk outside.
Yeah. I mean, I know I must have been denying myself this benefit forever because I'm always wearing sandals or shoes or something like that. And I'm hardly ever barefooted. So, well, Clint, going back in his past a little bit, 1960s, and he found, as he was working with cable and cable TV, that the cable needs to be grounded. And apparently it really doesn't work. Like, if you don't ground it, I guess the screen doesn't come clear, and then it also disperses some waves or something that actually causes problems to the airlines or something. I don't know. I can't remember what they said here, but it was something bigger than I thought. I remember thinking, really? That's going to be an issue like that? But apparently so. So apparently it helps maintain a stable electron environment. And then they brought up the concept of EMF, electromagnetic fields that are all around us. Apparently, and I can see that. We're probably just walking in and out of all these waves and fields all the time. We don't see them. So who knows what's going on, right? I mean, between our phone and earphones and all that.
I saw the most interesting article today, and it was showing, they had a camera that showed how the Earth actually has a heartbeat, and it shows how the electromagnetic fields move throughout the Earth at any given moment.
Whoa.
And it actually looks like it has a heartbeat in the way that it moves. It's really fascinating.
That is cool. Yeah, I mean, some people, they call it Mother Earth, right? Maybe there is some truth to that. It's an entity in its own, and maybe these waves kind of act like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, this Clint Ober guy, right? We still are not to the point where he's actually thought about this too much, but at one point, he's like 49 years old. He gets sick, and he kind of puts it off, but he gets taken to the emergency room. Apparently, he's got liver failure. He goes in for some surgery. And I think he said it took him like a year to recover and just get energy back. And it's really weird to me. Like, have you ever known anybody to get long COVID?
I think my aunt might have had long COVID.
Yeah. It's
Or-
crazy
yeah.
because it kind of reminds me of this. Well, I got somebody in my neighborhood who has it, and it really drains all his energy. He doesn't, he's kind of lethargic, has a lot of problems that way. And
Yeah, that
I
would be
almost
really
wonder
difficult.
if this would help him. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he needs earthing, right? Who knows?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems to
Well-
help so much and with your body, and not just even necessarily the inflammation, but also your mental health. I think just
Yeah.
being outside makes such a big difference.
Yeah, taking it in and just feeling as part of nature and all that definitely helps get rid of that fuzziness and that craziness. So,
Yeah.
well, then Clint goes ahead and he says, "I'm going to get rid of all my material possessions." And he's got a lot. Like, apparently he had these really expensive pictures and things like that in his home. He starts getting rid of everything. And his kids are like, "Are you going crazy? What the heck is going on?" But he wants to just get rid of all the material possessions, and he gets an RV and he starts traveling. Then he goes to Sedona, and he mentions that he's in this area and he sees what looks like a white sneaker convention. All these people coming out of some convention center with white sneakers on. And he starts thinking, those people have that synthetic shoe sole. They need to be grounded, right? And he starts wondering that very same thing. I think that's where he says he starts wondering, do people need to be grounded?
Basically, what we're going to demonstrate here is to show that when you stand barefoot on the earth and you touch the earth, that your body is conducting. And what this is basically a continuity meter. So what I'm going to do is plug it into the earth, like so. And I'm going to put my hand on it, and you can see, or my finger on the back of it, you can see that the light turns green, and that means that I'm grounded. To illustrate this, Sam here is wearing a pair of tennis shoes, and when he puts it on, turns it on, you can see that he's not grounded. But because I am grounded, I am barefoot on the earth, when I touch Sam, he is naturally grounded.
So it's weird how that kind of was a situation to get him thinking about that.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I mean, it sounds like you're kind of on board with some of this. You feel like it's a good thing?
Any moment that I can get to just like put my feet in like some grass or just like be outside for a little bit, I feel like makes such a big difference for me. I don't think I necessarily do it long enough or often enough to notice like any effects from actual like earthing, but mental health wise, I think it makes a big difference. And it's not just unplugging yourself from, like the material things. It's also unplugging yourself from just like all of the craziness happening in your world.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, like, just even because people are so detached from the earth, right? From nature. I know a lot of people like to just take walks or even go hike. Now, I know that you and Zach used to do some hiking up in the mountains. I don't know if you still do, but that's a release, right? That's a place where you can go and just feel nature. And a lot of places in the country, they can't do it.
Yeah, and it makes it more difficult when the seasons change. I mean, there was one winter we got out and hiked every single day in the winter, even if it was snowing it was at like 6 a.m, so there was no sun, it was dark, it was really cold. I did not enjoy that, but we did go on a really nice hike last weekend, and we went to a pretty waterfall, and I did make sure I was like, I got to take off my shoes, dip my feet in the water, be present for a little bit. So definitely, like, it's funny because you go on a hike to be, with nature, but then you are still kind of disconnected the whole entire time when you have your shoes. And so you still have that little bit of not being fully connected with nature.
Yeah, and the whole thing where you said you took your shoes off, you made sure to do that and to dip your feet in the water and stuff. Like, that's one of the things I think I've heard too, is like getting in with the water as well. Like the natural water springs and lakes is really a great place to get that earthing and to get that exchange of electrons and stuff. So that's pretty smart that
Yeah.
you did that. Yeah. Well, Clint, he wants to, he has this thought, hey, I think people really need to be grounded. So he wants to do some research. And he tries to reach out, if you remember, and he goes to UCLA and he presents this idea, and they kind of laugh him out of the area. They just like, get out of here. We're not doing that. And he winds up lining up with a doctor, some other doctor, who kind of buys it and says, you know what? Yeah, I can see that working.
Stephen Sinatra, who was a cardiologist from back east, was attending a convention, and we sat down with Stephen and told him the story of what I was doing. He said, well, if you're affecting pain, he says, you need to be researching inflammation. You don't have arthritis, you don't have cancer, you don't have all these health disorders. What you have is chronic inflammation. To me at the time, inflammation was you sprain an ankle and it balloons up and gets red and sore and it's inflamed. And he says, no, he says, inflammation is different than that.
We have so much inflammation in the body, and it comes out in illnesses. We go to a doctor with all these complaints, but a lot of it is silent inflammation, including my specialty, heart disease. Heart disease is an inflammatory process. So how do we reduce inflammation?
Let's do a study on it. And that was pretty cool because I don't know if it was that doctor or a different doctor. They go into his mother, who was like 92 years old, and had a lot of problems with her knees and legs, peripheral artery disease she has. Kind of reminds me of my mom a little bit, who has trouble walking now she's getting older. But she started doing this, and it's improved her a whole lot. That was pretty cool. I thought
That
was
is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do here is take a second and watch this short clip that talks about some of the science.
White blood cells release free radicals at the injury site. They chew up any pathogens, bacteria, or dead cells. They clear the area. It's called the repair field. It's the place that needs to be repaired. Without earthing, some of the free radicals that are released into the repair field leak into the surrounding tissue.
If there's not enough free electrons there to reduce the remaining radicals, they're going to steal an electron from a healthy cell and in the process damage it. Then the message goes out to the immune system and another neutrophil does the same thing, eliminates that cell, and then you end up with a chain reaction.
And this can create chronic inflammation, silent inflammation. You may not even know it's there, and it continues for years.
If inflammation is the cause of all these health disorders, then I know that not enough grounding is the cause of inflammation, because if the body is grounded, you can't have inflammation.
Well, that was pretty cool. White blood cells, free radicals. I thought it was pretty neat. It talks about the thinning of blood reduces clotting and inflammation. Pretty cool stuff. So, I don't know, people. It sounds like it's a real deal here, and it really does help out.
Well, I say you can't knock it until you try to study it a little bit more, because so many things, I mean, I always learned in school, what they always tell us is we haven't even figured out all of the things we're going to figure out in life, in science. So why would you knock something like that if you know that, hey, we haven't figured out all the things that we could figure out possibly?
Right, right. Yeah, and that's the thing about this is if you really look at it, it does give you enough science and probability that it could work here. And it's interesting, Maili, because in recent weeks and stuff, I've run across some other podcasts with other people. Like, I think his name is Joe Brecka. He's a fitness health kind of guy for guys that are older like me. And he talks about he had a whole section on grounding too, and he kind of goes into the science of it. He's all on board completely. So yeah, I'm with you. I think people give it a try, check it out, see what you feel. And I've got this short clip here that we'll play that actually shows you kind of what the red cells look like under the microscope when somebody grounds, and how it makes the blood thinner and the red cells don't clump as much. So let's watch that now.
We tried to figure out how much charge the body takes in when you touch the earth. What happens is the body saturates with electrons practically instantaneously. It's so fast that you can't measure it. So electrons from the earth enter the body right away, and they coat the red blood cells so that the cells repel each other. And then they can't clump, and the blood viscosity goes down. It's easier for the heart to pump the blood pressure goes down, all kinds of cardiovascular issues, they go away.
In situations where we are insulating ourselves from a surplus of electrons into our body, we're going to get the absolute opposite. So instead of having low levels of inflammation and a thin blood, we'll have thick blood that's more likely to clot, and our levels of inflammation tend to increase.
And I'm just thinking on the way here, I was thinking about how maybe the thinning of the blood is the reason that all the physiological systems go into balance.
Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, electrons clumping and the blood getting thinner. I think that's pretty interesting, and that was a pretty neat little video there about that. You know, as we get into this and we're talking here, how can people tie into it? You know, you mentioned earlier how it is, you know, you guys went hiking and it was wintertime and it was cold a while back. How can you ground when it's cold out? Some people live in Alaska and it's cold most of the time. So what would you do? I think it's really neat that there's so many things out there now that are starting to become available that you can purchase, like grounding mats and grounding like a sheet for your bed. So you can at least do that. You can hook it up and then you can sleep and get grounded. Or if you're working at your desk, you can put your foot, you know, barefooted on this mat and you can get grounded. I think that's pretty neat. And Maili, you said you ran across something as well that was pretty unique and interesting about a product out there that's out there.
Yeah, they're earthing shoes. So they have a copper piece that touches your foot, but then also touches the bottom, the sole of the shoe. So it every step you take, it's thought like that when the copper connects with the ground, that you're also earthing in that moment because it connects you.
That's pretty cool. I mean, they're coming up with interesting stuff, right? Like, I think once the concept was believed, they're like, how else can we tie this in? So bed sheets, mats, and now shoes. That's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah. I did see on social media there is a girl with a presence who cuts out the soles of her shoes, and so she has the like a top of her shoe on, but then her bottom is barefoot. And she like will walk around in public and stuff. I don't necessarily advise that because your feet get really dirty, but
yeah,
I think the whole purpose is mainly wanting to be able to connect with like actual like grass or soil or something, and not just like walk barefoot on concrete.
Yeah, well, the couple times I did it recently, yeah, my feet got pretty dirty. But Maili, I thought it was interesting. I ran across something recently on another show where they were talking about the time frame. And the guy that was talking about it actually said that if you at least try to get 4 to 5 minutes in, I think he said 3 to 5 minutes, that's pretty helpful to your body. Because I guess the exchange is so fast that it's immediately, once you put your feet on the soil and the ground, that all these exchanges of electrons start to happen pretty quick.
So not only is it easy to do, but it's really quick actually. So there's no excuse for forgetting.
Yeah. just set your watch for 3 minutes, go out there and walk on your lawn.
Yeah,
That's what I was
yeah.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'll have to do.
Yeah. And you can do it soon, right? That lawn, you have your front lawn, it's the back lawn, right, that you're waiting on?
Yeah, so I can go over to like the side of the house and, kind of walk over there. I mean, I also walk in the dirt all the time in the back with bare feet anyways, which I probably shouldn't do.
There you go.
So I get it
Yeah,
either
there
way, I
you go.
guess.
Well, there you go. You can just tell Zach, let's go walk in the yard for a little bit and let's get rejuvenated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know he deals with a lot of inflammation and stuff, from he played football. So I know that he deals still with joint pain and things like that. So I know that I probably really should suggest it to him. I don't know why I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Well, now we have a reason, right? It's interesting because I feel like I'm interested in people out there. Why don't you put in a comment? Let us know. Have you tried this? And has this worked for you? I'm going to say, Maili will speak for herself here in a second, but the few times I've tried it, it's really weird. I don't know if it's in my head, but it really felt like something was different. Like my knees were not as swollen, different things like that. So I'm kind of a believer in it.
I would agree with you. Yeah. I mean, maybe it comes out 20 years that it's all fake or whatever, but hey, is what you feel is what's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if your knees
exactly.
feel- I don't think your knees feeling not as inflamed or achy is really necessarily placebo. I think that you're genuinely feeling the effects of something. So,
Yeah.
I would definitely agree with you that I'm a believer and that it works.
Yeah. Well, in this film, it was pretty interesting too because there were a few actresses that were on there that were actually saying that they are all in on this as well. One of them was Mariel Hemingway. She was the female actor in Superman 4, the one with Christopher Reeves. And they did a little section on that film with her talking about like how she's all in. And then there was another actress named Amy Smart. And I knew her from somewhere, but I couldn't remember. And I looked into it, and she was in the movie Rat Race and Road Trip back around 2000. And anyway, she's all into it. Like she's doing it every day and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. So there you go, people. There's folks out there that believe in this, and it's part of their daily routine. Will it be part of yours? What do you think about this? Give us a comment here. Let us know. And then towards the end of this film, Rebecca and her daughter come back on. And apparently, yeah, the daughter's feeling better. She's not, she's getting sick a lot less often. And so they attribute it to this completely. They're like all the stuff that they were worried about, when they found a way and ran across this concept, it did miracles for them. And so, in fact, Rebecca actually lost like 30 or 40 pounds. Like she started doing it herself. And so she'd go and lay in her backyard lawn, and if she started feeling better, she started losing weight. Maybe I need to start doing that too.
Hey, yeah, sign me up. I'll do it.
Yeah. Oh man, who knows? So I don't know. I don't know why it hasn't caught on yet. Maybe it just needs to continue to be talked about because the few people that I've talked to didn't really know about this. It was pretty interesting. But my wife did. Like, it was funny. I mentioned, did you ever hear this? And she goes, oh, yeah. I go, really? Yeah.
She's a smart
Sometimes
lady.
our communication, yeah, she is. Sometimes we just need to communicate about some of that stuff. So that's kind of cool.
That's probably like
right.
the scenario with me and my husband, Zach, because I know I've known about this for a while, but now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, wait, I've never talked to him about this.
So next time I see you guys, I'm going to say to him, earthing? And see what he does.
Yeah.
See if he goes, oh, I know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what he does.
Why hasn't it caught on in mainstream? I can only say it will.
There's a well-established, traditional, conventional system that relies on expensive intervention. So they'd like to perpetuate that, and they're not too interested in having some competition coming in for a lot less expensive to sort of sabotage their profit levels. Because their goal isn't to help humanity. Their goal is really, as corporations, is increase their profits. The question becomes, how much of an influence has lack of grounding been in the epidemic of disease that we have? Is this grounding a factor?
Well, there you go, everybody. Earthing, grounding. That was our subject today. And once again, just to give you a little heads up, you can actually watch all of this in the the movie we mentioned, which is called Down to Earth with Josh and Rebecca Tickle. And the other one was called The Earthing Movie. I think you can find The Earthing Movie on YouTube as well. So that's free. The other one's on Amazon Prime, which is free if you have Amazon Prime. So, well, what do you think? Maili, what's your thought about this topic in general? Like, is this something that you think is worthwhile for people to do some research on, to watch a movie on? Especially a movie like that where you can get so much information in 1 hour, and give it a shot. What's your feeling about that?
Yeah, I think it never hurts to look into doing things for yourself and for your health. If you're curious about it, definitely watch the film and learn a little bit more about it, or better yet, just step outside for 3 to 5 minutes a day for a few days and see how you feel after that. Because I think that now, after talking about this, I definitely need to go sit outside for a little bit and put my feet in the earth.
Yeah, I need to get more consistent with my earthing or grounding, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, everybody. All of you out there, what do you think? Is this something you're going to give a try? It's a natural remedy. It doesn't cost much, like Maili said. It's inexpensive. It's even quick. Give it a try. Can't hurt you. Drop a comment, everybody, if you've ever tried this. Do you know someone who does do it? Do you agree with the science and the explanation you've heard here and through the film? What are your thoughts? Now, do the channel a favor, and if you like this kind of good variety of different things, this strange and unexpected stuff, please subscribe, tell someone all about it, and like I said, leave a comment. Maili, thanks so much for being on the show today, and I'm sure we'll do some more down the road. It's been great talking with you. Yeah. And everybody out there, thank you for watching. And as we close it down today, this was a little strange, but there's more out there. So remember, there's a lot of strange and unexpected in our reality. So always keep your eyes, ears, and minds open. And until next time, stay safe. See you, Maili.
Thank you for listening to High Strangeness. This was a glance at some of the strange that exists in our reality.